Let me start with the truth most GMs never hear. A great dungeon isn't drawn, it's engineered. You can sketch the prettiest map in the world, twisting corridors, vaulted chambers, ornate staircases, and still end up with a dungeon that feels flat, forgettable, predictable. Because the secret to a living, breathing OSR dungeon has nothing to do with artistic skill and everything to do with the invisible structure beneath the map. Today, I'm going to show you that structure. Welcome, my friends, and welcome especially to our Tavern members to a deep dive into dungeon design secrets, the techniques hidden between the lines of BX, AD&D, and early TSR adventures. The secrets the great dungeon designers used instinctively long before anyone formalized them. We're talking about loops, telegraphing, and breathing life into a map. The three gears that make a dungeon work. Follow along, and I promise you, even a simple map will become a place your players swear they've explored before and fear returning to. So, that being said, let's open the doors. Most beginners accidentally make linear dungeons. Hallways with rooms stuck to the sides like ornaments. Clean, simple, and deadly to player agency. A linear dungeon gives only one decision: forward or backward. A good dungeon, it gives options. It gives paths. It gives the players opportunities to learn, explore, and master the space. It gives them loops. Now, why do loops matter? Loops allow multiple routes to the same room, enemy forces to maneuver, retreats that feel tactical, not shameful, ambushes that make sense, and that golden moment when a player says, wait, I know where we are. That is player investment. That is spatial memory. That is the OSR. Now, you don't need to redraw your map. Instead, try this. Connect two existing rooms with a secret door. One stroke of the pen changes everything. Add a staircase that exits back onto the same level in a different place. Create a trapped chute or slide that dumps players into a room they visited before. Let factions have side tunnels that bypass main areas. When you add loops, your dungeon stops being a path and starts being a space. Now, telegraphing is the art of showing danger before the danger actually hits. Not to spoil the surprise, but to make the world feel fair. OSR design is not about gotchas. It's about informed decisions. What telegraphing looks like. If there's a pit trap, dust patterns shift, a faint draft rises from cracks, scratched stone hints at potentially past victims. If there's a monster nearby, strange smells, claw marks, half-eaten meals, a rhythmic thumping echo. Always something to think about, right? If treasure lies ahead, a glint under the rubble, a recent footprint, soot that isn't as old as the rest. Telegraphing transforms your dungeon from a guessing game into environmental storytelling. Players feel clever when they spot it and terrified when they miss it. And now this part is, I think, pretty important. Before every dangerous area, ask yourself, what would a cautious adventurer notice first? Give them that. Not the answer, just a clue. A static dungeon itself is just architecture. A living dungeon is behavior. To make a dungeon feel alive, you only need three things. You need sensory motion, not lore, motion. Distant clanging, dripping water, warm air currents or cold, rats bolting past, not giant, chanting from deeper halls. These details tell players something is happening here. Factions and territory. Even a small dungeon can have goblins who avoid undead rooms, a cult that controls the lower levels, a beast that denies passage, vermin that scatter before trouble. The dungeon becomes ecological, not random. And then there's the rule of three states. Every room exists in one of three states. First, as found, its default condition. The second, disturbed after the PCs do something. And the third, which is often overlooked, reacting, the dungeon's response. So, I'll give you some examples. Players kill some guards. What happens? Doors get barred, patrols double, a boss moves perhaps to a different room, a different secure location. Players make noise. Creatures investigate the source. Sounds like those random encounter tables coming into play. Players set a fire. Smoke alters navigation and it alerts that there's something is happening. This is how you turn a drawing into a world. So now you can see the gears, right? Everything's falling into place. Loops give the players freedom and mastery. Telegraphing makes danger feel fair. And environmental motion turns rooms into events. With these three techniques, even the simplest dungeon becomes reactive, tense, memorable, and absolutely dripping with OSR flavor. Your players won't know why the dungeon feels so real, but you will. And that, my friends, is how you breathe life into cold stone walls. Dungeons aren't about tricks or elaborate architecture. They're about choices, signals, and movement. When you design with loops, telegraph danger, and living environments, your players stop seeing a map and they start believing in a world. They feel tension in the silence. They trust the clues. They fear the darkness. And they celebrate when mastery finally clicks. So if today gave you that spark that, oh, I can use this moment, and you don't have to use it all right from the start. Start small, but we can go we can go even deeper next time. We can build factions from scratch. We can craft dungeon ecosystems that feel ancient. We can design first levels that practically run themselves. But I need you to tell me. Tell me where you want to go, because this tavern lives on your curiosity and your input. Until next time, stay safe, be well, and God bless. And as always, I will see you here at the tavern.